Alright, so we're going to go over some ratios and equations, which is basically the same thing. So it's helpful when you see an equal sign and you have fractions on either side to think of this as a ratio. So like 1 is to 3 as some number is to 5, or 1 is to 3 as some number is to 9, right? Okay, so this might be kind of confusing. So like remember with multiplication, you could cross simplify, right? When you multiplied two numbers, you cross simplified and then you multiplied across. Like you cross simplified like this and then you multiplied side to side. Well, in this case, it's the opposite actually. You simplify across and then you multiply like, numerators to denominator, denominators to numerator. So it's just that they're flipped, if that makes any sense. So like in this case, you would try simplifying from side to side and then multiply across, like a butterfly. I think, this is called the butterfly method because it kind of looks like a butterfly. Okay. So in this case, there's not really anything to simplify, right? 3 goes into 3 one time, but 3 doesn't go into 5. You can't really do anything with this. So instead, you would just multiply across, multiply the butterfly. So in this case, this would be 5 times 1, I'm just going to write it here, 5, is equal to 3 times x. So, and when you multiply across, you just set those two things that you get equal to each other. So in this case, once you solve for x, you divide by 3 on both sides, you get x is equal to 5/3. And I'm just going to write 5/3 here. So that's the answer for that one. Alright, similar thing in this case, right? You're always going to want to multiply across to get the answer, but you can also simplify side to side in this one because you have a 3 on the bottom and you also have a 9 on the bottom, and 3 can go into 3 one time, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So in this case, this simplifies to 1, and then this simplifies to 3. Sorry. And now what you can do is multiply across and then solve. But another good thing to recognize here is just this concept of the ratio, right? Like we have 1 is to 1 on this side, and then we have x is to 3 on another side. So if this side is equal to 1, the ratio is 1 to 1, then this x has to be 3 to get us to that 1 to 1 ratio, right? Because 1 divided by 1 is 1, and then 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we already know that x is going to be equal to 3. And you could multiply it and do all those steps if you want to, but I think this is a good thing to start recognizing. Alright, we're going to do one where the x isn't alone on the bottom. Alright, so, and by that I mean there's another term, plus 1. But another good thing to see is that we have a 2 on the top and also a 4, meaning we can simplify this to be a 1 and a 2. And now we can multiply across. So we're going to get 1 times 7 is 7. And this is a place where you really have to be careful because this 2 is multiplying to both of these terms, right? This 2 is being multiplied to that whole denominator. So it's going to be 2 times x plus 1 in parentheses because you're multiplying it to both things, to both terms. And then you're going to put the equal sign. So if you want, you can divide by 2 on both sides, but it might be easier to just distribute. And it's also good to practice the distributive property if you want. So you can do 7 is equal to 2x plus 2. You can subtract 2 on both sides. So you get 5 is equal to 2x, and then divide by 2. And I'm not writing out the steps just for space, but you're dividing by 2 and you get x is equal to 5/2. And if you didn't simplify here at first and you just kept it like that, then the answer you would have gotten here would have been 10/4, and then you would have had to simplify there. So you just have to recognize that at some point you're going to have to simplify, and it doesn't really matter where, but sometimes it's easier to do the math here if you simplify it first. Alright, last problem we're just going to look side to side, see if there's anything we can simplify. I don't see anything. So let's just multiply across. This is going to be 5 times this whole thing on the denominator, x plus 3, is equal to 2 times x. And let's distribute this again. So 5x plus 15 is equal to 2x. Okay, and again, we're trying to isolate the variable, so we're going to move the x's over to this side. And to do that, we're going to do the inverse operation. We're going to subtract 5x. So this cancels out, it becomes 0, and we have 15 is equal to negative 3x. When you simplify this, when you divide both sides by negative 3, you have x is equal to negative 5, and then that is your answer for this ratio.